Hi, everybody. This is Lee, and I'm taking another look at the Draft Bernie campaign, the Draft Bernie Party. This is draftbernie.org, and I'm looking at their Our Plan page. I wanted to catch up and see what was the situation with the Draft Bernie campaign. Earlier, I spoke about it, and I just was not completely sold on the concept because it was building an entire strategy around one person. And so it could be yay or nay, and what would be the strategy going forward if the answer was nay. And, I was concerned because I said, okay, what happens if he says no? Or what happens if he says yes, and then he begins to, again, sheep herd people back to supporting the Democratic Party? And, so we can't really predict what other people are going to do. We can't control the behavior of other people. We can only control our behavior. And so in the back of my head, I was hoping that this campaign had some kind of backup strategy, a plan B or C, or an alternative if things didn't go the way that they seem to really hope that it will, that Bernie Sanders leaves the Democratic Party, hopefully bringing with him such people like Nina Turner and or Tulsi Gabbard and whoever else he can recruit along with him to an outside party. And so I was even wondering, in the meantime, while they're waiting for Bernie Sanders to come to a decision, and it seems like this is like a limbo period, I kind of wondered, okay, what are they doing in the meantime while they're waiting for Bernie Sanders to decide? And he seemed to kind of decide in the negative earlier this year, but people are saying not necessarily. And so I was hoping to see whether they would be running down ballot candidates or working on municipal elections for 2017 or something, or if it does have to be nothing until Bernie Sanders comes to a decision. And so I was pretty uneasy about that, but I'm going to go and talk about what I see on their Our Plan page. And I'm going to direct people to go to that page if they're curious or wanting to learn more. They can look and see beyond my words and maybe interpret for themselves of what they think is going to happen. So Nick Branna is the founder. He explained how it works. If you go to Draft Bernie for a People's Party, there's Our Plan. There's a petition you can sign. There's a store. You can donate. You can volunteer. There's tools, etc. Contact page. So I'm going to scroll down, and here it's talking about getting the party started. And the reasoning they're saying is, together with his fellow congressional progressives and campaign surrogates, Bernie Sanders can be the founder of our People's Party. Okay. And I'm going to scroll again. And so they're planning a founding convention where they're saying, imagine a massive rally broadcast to the country where members could construct and sign the new platform. And then we place the platform online and open it for public signatures as a huge national referendum for change. They also have a strategy for growing the party. They're saying that Bernie could. And again, I'm uneasy about that, making decisions about what other people could do possibly and building an entire dream around that. But they're saying that Bernie could use his millions of progressive emails and vast social media to reach to build the new party. His surrogates could tour America, speaking to the real change that it represents. His supporters would set the internet ablaze. We stand shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters on the picket lines and frontline sites like DAPL. We form state and local constituent branches that invite their Democratic and Republican members of Congress to debate the issues with us in town halls across the country. the party would adhere to Bernie's high standards of integrity and refuse donations from corporations, billionaires, super PACs, and dark money groups. A party of buying for the people. And so here we get to the nitty gritty. There's an electoral plan that's discussed on this page. In 2018, we take on the entire political establishment with a two-tiered strategy. We challenge Republicans in districts where Bernie's message resonates, but Democrats have been incapable of making gains. We challenge establishment Democrats in safe blue districts that voted for Sanders in the primaries this year. And so it looks like they're targeting the places where Bernie Sanders won states or even tied states during the Democratic primary. And that was a lot of Western states, some Midwestern states, and that's including Iowa, Missouri, Michigan, where Bernie Sanders either won or he tied. The vote was virtually tied. The vote was very close. And then, of course, his home state of Vermont and West Virginia, many states apparently. And I think that's like about 22 or 23. And so that's the plan for 2018. And it looks like there's no plan for this year. Maybe it's too soon. They haven't fully organized or gotten up and running yet to run candidates for 2017. And I think they need to do ballot access too. And then in 2020, they plan to run a presidential candidate. Our overwhelming majority on the left leads any remaining Democratic voters to join us in the general election. Our progressive populism demolishes the Republicans after 4 years of Trump and sweeps in our down ballot candidates in Congress and state houses. After this election, our progressive party is the new left party in America. Okay, so this is the plan. And if you can imagine, it sounds very similar to the Justice Democrats, only it's not a Democratic effort. It's an effort independent outside the two major parties. What makes it different is the presence of Bernie Sanders, if Bernie Sanders joins them, being the engine that runs this party. And I'm curious if the party could actually exist without Bernie Sanders. Whether they could find an alternative person. And so, again, that was the problem I had with the group before. It seemed very cult of personality, that without Bernie, what is there? What's going to happen? What are they going to do? What's the plan? And so I've even been to the Facebook page, and every post is Bernie, 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 Bernie. And so I'm trying to be optimistic because this is a very optimistic plan that's been developed. In an ideal world, it makes perfect sense, but there are so many issues that have to be addressed. Like I mentioned, first, Bernie Sanders has to get on board. And then there has to be the organization of the party. Then the ballot access campaign. And then the campaign itself of drafting, locating candidates for 28, drafting them, and then figuring out which states to target. And then at the same time that this Draft Bernie campaign is choosing candidates for 2018, there's also going to be candidates from the Green Party going for seats in 2018, and then also candidates from the Justice Democrats and the brand new Congress going for seats in 2018. Everybody can't go for the same seat, and so I don't know if there's been any discussion because it looks like this group's strategy is exactly parallel to that of the Justice Democrats and the brand new Congress. The brand new Congress has has their strategy of running Republican candidates in certain districts. They're going to run Republicans. And then if the Republican gets defeated in the primary, then they're going to run independents in the general. At the same time, Justice Democrats are coordinating with the brand new Congress, running Democrats. And I don't know what their strategy is if their Democratic candidate gets defeated in the primary, if they're going to defer to the independent candidate that the brand new Congress runs, or if the Justice Democrats will then sheep herd those people who supported the progressive candidate that they run, if they're going to sheep herd them back into lesser evil voting for the centrist, moderate, right-leaning Democrat trying to turn the Congress blue at all costs. So I don't know what the strategy is if the Democratic candidate, progressive, gets defeated. But anyway, so this is what the Draft Bernie party will run into, that there will be multiple progressive groups running for seats. There are about over 1,000 positions available, but it seems like everyone wants the Congress. I don't know if there's going to be an effort by any of these groups that I just named to target local and municipal elections in 2018. That it would be helpful if there was coordination between all these groups instead of overlap and just cross purposes to the point where no one gets anywhere. So I'm still not sold on this group, and maybe Bernie Sanders has a secret master plan. People were sure that he did have a secret master plan in 2016, and it turned out that plan was vote for Hillary. She's the lesser evil. And so if he's got some kind of thing going on, it possibly might work, or, you know, things being what they are, election fraud being what it is, and it is in existing, that we've just seen it on full display in the race for the 197th district in Pennsylvania. Hopefully we'll see better turnout in the race in California with Alex Padilla as Secretary of State. And that sounds really pessimistic, and usually I'm very optimistic. But, you know, ballot access and starting a new party, trying to recruit a figurehead, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post this link and let everyone review for themselves and see what they think about what's happening. I'm also going to post a link to the Facebook page so you can see the conversation that's occurring. And you can decide for yourselves if you want to support this campaign, the Draft Bernie campaign, if you want to support the Justice Democrats, the brand new Congress, the Green Party, the Socialist Alternative, or whatever you want to do. All I can say is best wishes and good luck, because the more progressives we do get into office, I think the better balance this country will have. And I look forward to that, no matter from what angle. I think it's all good. Good luck.